everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. And this is my weekly show where my guests and I each pick a film related in some shape or form. And hopefully by the end of this episode, you have two films to go check out. And joining me, as always, each month is my buddy Luke. Luke, thank you so much for coming on.
Anytime. It's always a blast, Shane.
Absolutely. And now we're going to be talking about two Bong Joon-ho films. And after watching both of these, I think it's really reinforcing that he's one of the best
Yes.
around. Um, and just we're going to be talking about 2000's Barking Dogs Never Bite and also was it 2008's The Host,
I think it's six, but yeah.
2006.
Mm-hmm.
2006 The Host. It is The Host. I just
It
didn't
is.
remember what year it was. Good thing I remember that it's 2025, even though sometimes I wish I could forget that.
Yep.
Um, but let's start with Barking Dogs Never Bite. An indie part-time an idle part-time college lecturer is annoyed by the yapping dogs sounds in his apartment complex. He decides to take drastic action. That's an understatement. But
Oh
Luke,
yeah.
what were your general thoughts on Bong Joon-ho's Barking Dogs Never Bite?
So that was the last Bong Joon-ho movie I haven't seen, that's his feature debut. So I was very keen on checking that out, and I liked it. I thought it was like there are some people you even from their feature debut you can tell they were meant to be directors because
Mm,
no matter what there's there's thousands of different ways how to set up every single shot in your movie, and somehow even in this one he always seems to find the best one. Like this
mhm,
movie is maybe not the prettiest he's ever done, or not the most technically challenging he's ever done. Sure, that comes later, but it's still like it underlines everything he's it's almost like, hey, I'm here, and for the next 25 years plus now, this is what my movies will be about: normal regular people, their the class, and also they will be in a sometimes absurd situations and yeah, I really liked it. What about you?
Oh, so I was close to loving this film for sure.
Mm.
This is I had one of those moments where I watched both of these last weekend and we're just like, damn, I had back-to-back moments of like I just watched something special.
Yeah.
And those are always great moments where you like I felt like one of the last times I felt that way watching back-to-back movies was one of our episodes when we did Sorcerer and the Wages of Fear.
Oh
And it's
yes.
just like this film takes such a mundane idea of somebody being so frustrated
Mhm.
by just the yapping, the barking of dogs, and crafts this interlocking chain of consequences that is
Mhm.
so darkly funny and twisted and messed up that you just have to take a step back and really think like, what did I just watch?
Yep.
And I think to your point, you can tell from the start that this film is sharp. There's dynamic choices from a
Mhm.
filmmaking perspective because this is not the kind of film that necessitates big flashy direction.
Correct.
Like it doesn't have anything that in it that's particularly like big and artful or anything like that, but there's so many moments of Bong Joon-ho choosing
Mhm.
shots and how to present things. Like there's this, I think one of the first moments I realized it is like you have this man standing at the bottom of this giant tower of apartments and just the angle of it and how it turned around him. And
Yep. Yep.
yep, this is somebody who has an eye. And there's a young woman who has her own quote unquote hero moment. And
Mhm.
how it's framed is that there's people cheering her having
Yes.
this hero moment. And like that was not necessary in this movie, but like it brought her perspective and what was going on in her head to life in an interesting and a dynamic way. And it was really well shot. and
Hmm.
how it's all put together and designed. And it's just like you can love a film. Like I'm trying to remember what the name of it was. I for my movie club, I just watched like I think it was one of Kenneth Lonergan's early films, and there was
Hmm.
like no like flashiness, no artfulness. There's nothing to it. It's extremely stripped down, and it
Hmm.
really rode on the writing and the performances, and
Yep.
that's perfectly fine. But when you have a director that could throw in that flair with
Hmm.
things, I prefer that. Like I'm watching a movie, I want to be able to see something impressive from like an artistic standpoint, and Bong Joon-ho does that for sure with this.
Yeah, 100%. Look, just to be clear, I don't think there's anything that will be like that will blow your socks off in a sense, where, like in filmmaking wise. But again, if you watch as many movies as two of us do on a regular basis, you tend to notice that some of the directors, even great ones, you don't really remember most of the scenes from the movie. But here, exactly as you said, the shot of of the man, on the tower. I know exactly what shot you're talking about. I really like the idea how the first dog, if I'm not mistaken, there's like a POV shot from like his perspective, and the camera kind of moves, swivels around as a
Mhm.
dog would. Yeah, the cheating shot where the main like heroine, like she wants to be a hero, she wants to have that hero shot because she watches the TV report about another woman, like the bank teller who
Mhm.
beats up the robber, and she's like, oh, damn, she became famous out of that. And her friend is like, well, you just need to find a job yourself and beat somebody up like that. And she's looking for that hero moment,
Mhm.
and then she sees herself like, hey, the crowds will be cheering for me. But also it's dark. This movie is dark. Like this
Yes.
the story about like the deep underground of this like tower of apartment, tower
Yeah.
building, and like how there's a guy that's like been put in a cement, and and then there's a like homeless person, I think, who lives there, no, unnoticed.
Mhm.
And but also it's comedic as fuck when our main hero, so he kind of almost by accident kills one dog, the first one, and then he yeets out the second dog off of the roof.
That was wild.
That was
I,
very wild. And then I laughed out loud the moment when he's on a phone, and from the background we see his wife carrying this new dog to, or like oh, I just bought a new dog, and he just noticed that, and I laughed out loud when he noticed it because it was so funny.
it's and like what I mentioned about the interlocking chain of consequences.
Hmm.
Like I'm going to spoil some stuff right now, so be warned, people,
Hmm.
because the fact that this man is so annoyed by this yapping dog
Hmm.
and then kidnaps a dog and like just chickens out when he's about to like strangle this dog, so then passively puts it into this cabinet.
Hmm.
Dog doesn't make it. When he after he realizes that this dog can't bark because on the little girl's poster for the dog had surgery or something and can't bark.
Yep.
So nice job, guy. Wrong dog. And then this dog gets hooked by the custodial staff in this place.
Hmm.
And then that sets up this expectation that the next dog, he does it again, but this time his stew is stolen by the homeless person who now has a taste for dog.
Yeah.
And then it's like he stole another dog, but he didn't steal this dog. It was the homeless person who stole this dog because now the homeless person has a taste for dog. And it's just like all of this ridiculous plotting narratively that goes here. I'm like, I was on the edge of my seat thinking, like, just like the consequences of the ridiculousness that's going on in this movie. And it all threads together. And then it all builds up to that crazy chase through the apartment building between our young heroine and the homeless man trying to
Yep.
get his dog so he can nom nom. Um, and what's wild is just like it's high tension.
Hmm.
There's doors blocked and trying to get through this, and her friend coming in and the shit out of this guy. And then, but here's the thing, nobody asks questions, and they hang all three of these dogs on him.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's a disgusting homeless man. Of course he did it.
And he
It
always
can't
changes his
possibly.
story. Like, like even the TV reporter like says, oh, because he's changing his story all the time, he's gonna get sent for a psychiatric evaluation tomorrow, and that's just, that's it closed. Yeah.
And it's just so many details because, yet again, this is not the kind of story that you need so much depth and layers and everything to your screenplay. But Bong Joon Ho puts so much into this movie. And there's so much about human nature.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not a happy ending. This is like
Nope.
all getting up to a point where it's just like we're all responsible
Mm-hmm.
for what we do. And we overreact all the time. We act irrationally. We do things that are blown way out of proportion.
Yep.
And that's certainly the case here because it's like, dude, get over it.
But see, to me, like the ending, like if we can talk about the ending
Yeah.
specifically, I I thought it's like thematically, it like clicked for me. At least I think it clicked for me. Like I need to pick your brain about this. Is is the reason he couldn't kill the first dog and so he traps him in a cabinet and then it kills him accidentally, and then he feels bad about it. Is the reason that he kind of is the dog because he also is trapped in this marriage, or he believes he's trapped because he has no power, right?
Mm.
He is about like he's this like a almost professor but not yet. So like he's trying to make him, trying to make it work, trying to make it work, and at the end, oh yeah, he paid up. There's some money exchange with that cake, and that he brings to his like dean or whatever you call those people, and
Mm.
he gets the job, but he's not happy. And he, yet again, he's trapped. But like, so he was seeking this, like, seeking this goal. That he believed, oh yeah, this is gonna make me happy. This is my purpose. And once I have that, I'll have money, and I'll be somebody worthy of respect. And then like, the last shot of him in the class, and this curtain just slowly closing, and you can see the light like draining out of his eyes because of that. And you see him, he's not happy, he is not happy. And then there's a juxtaposition with the heroine, who her she gets fired because, hey, if you want to be outside all the time, you should be a street vendor. And we see her in the
Yeah.
woods, hiking with her friend, and
Mhm.
she seems content, she seems happy, and she still has that mirror that they knocked from the car. I don't know what that mirror was supposed to symbolize. I guess the rebellion against this system, and like sometimes it's good to rebel. I don't know, maybe. But I thought like that's such an interesting juxtaposition
Mm.
in a movie that's about, hey, there's some dog eating, and this is not a quote for anything. This is actual dog eating.
Yes. I think the most important thing to remember is this guy's not happy because this guy's not happy. And he thinks that, and that's one of the, it's one of the biggest fallacies of humanity is that if we just get to here,
Yes,
I'll
I'll be
finally
happy.
be happy.
Yes.
And it's just like you have to be happy. Like this is not going to magically make you happy.
Hmm.
This man is getting in his own way, and he's making these decisions. And that scene where his wife explains how she got the dog,
Hmm.
and it's just like you're a piece of crap, man. And just like all she wanted was a little dog, and she's sacrificing all these things for you.
I was gonna say I don't want to be that guy, but to be fair, from what we see, like
Mm.
she has been a fucking pest to him. I'm just gonna say, like from the I'm like, damn, he is trapped in this relationship. And then the one scene comes, and like, and she finally shows some humanity, and then like, oh, I'm actually here for you, just in my own way. And I'm like, oh, see, this is the brilliance of like somebody like Bong Joon Ho, because in a lesser movie, she would be the villain. She would
Mm.
be like, oh hey, women can be evil too if they have the money, and they can also be in that position where it's not always like the guy traps the woman in a relationship. Sometimes it's the other way around. In a lesser movie, it would be that. But in this movie, no, she just, had a hard time. But she was gonna use the money she got because she was laid off to help him advance his career because she could tell that meant so much to him. And I'm like, damn.
Well, because the thing is, we see all this through his perspective, and
Mm-hmm.
his
Mm-hmm.
perspective is so hyper fixated that he's not really seeing, like, we are not seeing because he's not seeing
Mm-hmm.
the whole round, like the rounded edges of this relationship.
Yep.
It's just he perceives it like she's nagging me. She just has control over me. It's like, why aren't you communicating?
Yep. Yep.
And it's those kinds of layers to it. And he doesn't have that friend to call him out on his nonsense a little bit, like the heroine does,
Mm-hmm.
who also like certainly has her back. So she comes swinging in there.
Oh yeah.
Um, and it's an interesting, and I think that's an interesting dichotomy too, because this is a parallel story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which this young heroine doesn't realize she's chasing him the whole entire time until the
Yep.
very end. And I think that moment between them at the end is what allows her to focus on her happiness
Mm-hmm.
because she realized that after all this heroic stuff that she did, she didn't find justice
Yep.
for those two dogs. And she's like, it's not worth it. Like, this isn't what this life is supposed to be. And this guy's still hyper fixating on why am I not happy?
Mm-hmm.
Not letting yourself be happy.
Yep.
You're if you keep focusing on what the next thing's going to be that's going to make you happy, you're completely ignoring everything that in your life that is making you happy. And he scapegoats these dogs. Like, it's down to he's frustrated about these dogs barking because he's not happy in his life,
Mm-hmm.
and the barking in his life is the perceived relationship he has where she's barking at him all the time, so
Mm-hmm.
he's not going to do anything about his own relationship, but he's going to go kill this dog.
Yep.
And that this is why this is a special film, because there's so many layers to this, and this is a rich screenplay with a lot of
Mm-hmm.
themes and ideas that reflect. And it's hard, like, this seems like such a ridiculous movie
It is because it fucking is.
because it is, but somebody like Bong Joon-ho can find all the humanity in it, and then you realize, wow, I just went through something about a movie about some dude being pissed off about dogs barking in his building.
And that's the thing, right? You need a special kind of talent. You need a special kind of person who makes something as ridiculous as this is make not only work but find all those human elements and connective tissues. Like I'll give you an example. I don't know if you heard, but Bong Joon-ho would really, like he said this in an interview, would really like to do an alien movie, like the actual like alien, right? But have you heard the twist? What he said?
Let's make it a musical.
Yes. And I'm like, and I at first, like first 5 seconds I heard that, I'm like, that's fucking dumb. But then I'm like, but if anybody could make this work, it's him. Let him fucking cook. Give him Alien, make it a musical, give him a budget. If there's a one person I would trust on this planet right now to make this ridiculous combo somehow work, it would be him, 100%.
Except after Mickey 17, no major studio is going to be giving him a big fat budget.
Unfortunately, but I think to be fair, like I think for him it's maybe a blessing in the disguise. I feel like I would love him for him to like go back in a sense where like I don't think for him Hollywood is their route. Like oh give him big budgets. I don't think this guy with this movie and with all his previous movies, he's proved he doesn't need big budgets. He needs great story. He needs great actors and make a great movie looking awesome movie for like a minimum money like the next movie you're gonna talk about the host.
That's a beautiful segue, Luke,
I know,
if you're
right?
ready for it.
i
So,
am i am
and we're going to be talking about a kaiju movie, a monster movie. It's The Host, except this looks like it was made for $5 and still looks better. So many movies, like like I don't want to be that guy, but like between Godzilla minus one and
Mm,
watching The Host,
mm,
I'm just like, Warner Brothers, what are you doing?
yep.
Like, obviously, they're making big dumb movies. That's
Mm,
specifically what they're trying to do with their like Godzilla movies now. But this film, The Host, focuses on a monster emerges from Seoul's Han River and begins attacking people. One victim's loving family does what it can to rescue her from its clutches. So,
mhm.
Luke, what are your general thoughts on The Host?
So this is my second watch, and I love this. I'm almost there, like where I'm fully in love. Like there's still some like a smidge of a hair stopping me. I don't know what it is, but last I watched it yesterday evening, and I'm like, God fucking damn, this is a good movie. Like the ending now, or on the last rewatch, hit me even more. And what hit me even more is yet again, there are certain shots in this movie that are just phenomenal. Like I'm thinking of like mainly in the beginning, like the guy is about to commit suicide, and there is this like shot from up, and where you just see the bridge, the
Mm,
guy, rain, and the river. But it's one of the most beautiful shots I've ever seen, and I try to be not like parabolic, but like it's genuine. I'm like, holy shit, that just jumped out. I was like,
mm.
that's a again. That's a fucking great shot, and just in a monster movie, quote unquote, dumb monster movie, which many people said to Bong Joon-ho, "Hey, don't do monster movies." He was discouraged from doing this, and he was sad about it, and he did it anyway. That's why we need fucking Bong Joon-ho. No, but I really, really, really love this movie. What about you?
This is a first time watch, and I
Hmm.
absolutely loved it.
Mm.
Like this blew me away. I was so impressed by you take this idea of a creature feature, a monster movie, a kaiju film, and turn this into this harrowing adventure for this family. But then also this whole entire commentary on the sticky fingers of America
Hmm.
and how we what we do to other countries and stir the pot, but then also the media
Yep. Yep.
and fear. And like this hits in a whole different the whole different way post COVID.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Um and it's a great monster movie. Like it does
Hmm.
all of these things and that sequence at the beginning of the film,
Oh yeah.
you get that first shot of Sung Kang Ho turning and you just see this thing
Hmm.
running down this like stone pier part right on this river and you're just like I don't know what it was about that shot. I like for 2006 and Korean special
Hmm.
effects industry, be like this is not a Hollywood movie.
No.
That monster looks good.
Yeah. Obviously
And
now it like you can see it's slightly out of the place, but no, yeah, it's yeah.
well, to be frank, Luke, at this point, so much CGI today looks so artificial and fake that like this does not bother me in the slightest, to be
To be fair,
honest.
100 me neither. Just like like I can see why some people will be like, "Oh yeah, just the CGI is kind of poor, but everything else is great." I don't not even bothered by CGI. That's all I
Like
was
if
gonna
you
say.
compared this to Hollywood at the time and like put this up against Davy Jones,
Yeah,
that might be a conversation to have, or the Kraken.
yeah, yeah.
Because that was the same year or close to the same year that Dead Man's Chest
2007. Yeah.
came out. Yeah. But like that shot of this thing running down and you're just like, what the hell is this?
Yep.
And that whole entire sequence of these people running away. And one of the most harrowing moments of him turning around and realizing he had the wrong girl
Mm,
was my heart dropped. And I'm like, no. And then it coming up and just whipping around and grabbing his daughter, running off. And you're just like, I I have so many feelings right now.
Yeah,
And then like this is like darkly funny too.
it is.
And like it's like and that's the thing, Bong Joon-ho can make so many things so darkly funny because like this is a satire on in many ways, and it really shouldn't be.
Hmm.
Like there's few filmmakers that can make the tone of this film work the way that it does. But to your point, there's so many great shots. Like that whole entire sequence is like the blocking is so perfect for that reveal to be like
Yep.
have that impact in every scene of the young girl in that sewer.
Oh yeah, those. Hmm.
Those camera shots, there I'm pretty sure there's like I don't know if they're Dutch angles, but there's things angled that a way that makes it seem like it's a Dutch angle and it's disorienting. And there's just so
Hmm.
many great moments, just how that whole production design of that space looks with the hole in the wall and everything. But
Yep.
no, there's so many things to love about this movie for sure.
No, like that's one. See, that sequence I appreciate because they actually look dirty. They don't look Hollywood dirty. Like there's a Hollywood
Yes.
dirty where it's like we need to see that pristine, beautiful face we paid money for, right? No, those people when they go through shit and they look dirty. They look like, oh my fucking god, they are actually in a sewer. And they,
Yeah.
for most part, actually were shooting like in like sewers and on location. So I think besides that like pit that was built, but I think everything else is kind of shot on location. And I'm like, holy shit, that's just so impressive. But yeah, like the monster. So this movie, I don't know if you read this, was such a cultural hit in South Korea, became like the number one selling movie for a while there. Like it's estimated almost 20% of all the Korea or South Korea has watched this movie when it came out. It was a massive, to the point in 2015, if I'm remembering that correctly, they actually raised a statue near the Han River for of the monster. So if you go to Seoul and
It's
visit that
Rocky
bridge, yeah,
for
exactly, yeah,
Seoul,
exactly,
Korea.
yes. So there is an actual statue, I think, today, up until today, of that monster because it was such a cultural phenomenon, and I think that was the first time in 2006-7 when I was going into my like being a cinephile, when I start to hear about, hey, there's a movie called The Host. It's a very good horror movie, and I'm like, oh, it's a horror movie. I'm scared because I was 15. I'm like, you
Yeah.
know what? No, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm scared. But it's not. There are a couple of sequences where there are some clever jump scares. I'll say that. But most of the time, it's like a drama about failure, about family, about this like very interesting family where like each of them are failures in their own light. Like the we have a
Yeah.
bronze medal Olympian, but she's failure because she didn't release her arrow in time, so she couldn't compete for gold. And I'm like, that's a great way to like juxtapose to the dad, the the dad from the Parasite as well,
Yes.
who has this like blonde hair, so quote unquote. To make him look even more stupid, that was the reason he had that blonde, thing.
Yeah.
But he was like he was like slightly weird, he was slightly like you can say dumb, but one thing you cannot say is he wasn't a great dad. He was saving for her like phone, so the daughter could have a nice phone. So, like he would and that's why like when he said your heart broke in in pieces when he realizes that's not his daughter in that opening sequence. And then what happens at the end, it's fucking just, yeah, that actor, like, yep.
Well, Song Kang Ho has been in Memories of Murder,
Mm-hmm.
this, Snowpiercer, Parasite. Like
Mm-hmm.
he is Bong Joon-ho's muse,
Oh yeah.
and he just does such an amazing job. This whole cast, like the brother character,
Mm-hmm.
like that moment where they start throwing hands in a super super awkward way, except not just hands. He pulls out a drop kick,
Yep.
which was which side note. So when Jess and I watch Memories of Murder, she has not stopped talking about the random drop kick that Song Kang Ho's character just throws out in the middle of a bar fight in that movie. And she lost it
Mm.
when, well, first off, she missed it. She looked away at her phone, and I'm like, Jess, there was a drop kick. And she's like, rewind it. And I did. So that you can see this drop kick. But like
Good
that whole
husband.
sequence at that memorial,
Hmm.
because there's the emotion, the frustration,
Hmm.
the awkwardness and
Yep.
hilarity of just how like it's like a slapping and drop kick fight between them. And then the contagion people come in and just like that whole interaction and how this movie deals with infection
Hmm.
and quarantine and then what's actually going on is so sinister
Hmm.
and messed up because like from the very start we know why this happened.
Yep.
They're pointing at me, not both of us. It's like our fault as
Hmm.
in Americans like dumping these chemicals and stuff like this, and then the fear mongering and everything, it's so messed up. And then like I've like throw in like lobotomies in there and
Hmm.
stuff like that. Like this is some dark stuff, but it will not stop and will not stop this family from continuing to push forward. And they go through it.
Oh yeah.
Not all of them make it out alive.
Hmm.
The father in particular was some crazy stuff. Um, is just a side note is Park Hae-il the he's the brother of the mom, right? I'm
I
trying,
I think
or
so.
he's the dad's brother.
I think they are. Wait, I think those are the. I think they're all like siblings because he
Okay.
says because when the funeral scene, right? He's like, "Oh
Mhm.
look, even auntie's here and even uncle is here," right?
Okay.
So I think they're all like sibling. Like three of them are
Okay.
like siblings. Yeah.
Okay. Well, all of them go through some stuff here because
Yep.
like Park Hae-il's character, like he has that whole entire like this is not the kind of movie that needed that whole sequence in like that office building,
Yep.
but like that was so damn cool.
It was.
And like how he gets out of that situation, and then the dude that um like sold him out, that just little like bye at the end, and then like him like falling off that overpass, and you're just like shit. And all of these things, because like this movie has so much going for it,
Hmm.
and there's so many elements here, and it all leads up to this like really satisfying like monster movie showdown
Yep.
at the end. Oh my god. And then it's also like you don't just get the satisfying monster movie showdown, you also get this like devastating catharsis that just reinforces the whole entire theme of the movie, and you're just like,
Hmm.
I don't know how to feel right now except bad. That's how I feel right now. There's just so many emotions that you feel watching this, and this is just a big monster movie, and this is how you do it. This is how you
Yep.
do it, Hollywood.
And so when you said like before, you pointing a finger at Americans, right? The most frustrating part about this actually happened. The formaldehyde story actually took place in South Korea in 2000. The American who, basically gave the order was he was like, there was a court with him in absentia. He was found guilty. Then he was found guilty when he finally showed up, but he never served any prison time. And I think that's the part of the reason why this movie became such a phenomenal in South Korea,
Yeah.
because Bong Joon-ho is openly calling out the one of the themes of this movie is the government is fucking useless. Like South Korean government is fucking useless. They are not doing a great job of protecting us. They are limp dicks because they cannot even say no to Americans, and that's why there's this. very average. Some of them you can call them even sub-average South Koreans who need to take action and try to save this daughter, right?
Yeah.
And I genuinely feel like Bong, like again, like his themes sometimes can be very in your face, but I think it's on purpose. And here, that theme of damn South Korean government, you're a bunch of or at least used to be a bunch of lip dicks. Now it seems like they've improved with the recent impeachment and how that went. They've learned a
Mm.
lesson, unlike some other countries. Hint, hint. When somebody tries to meddle in elections or tries to usurp all the ultimate power. Hmm. But so they learned a lesson. But at the time, I think that's what was one of the reasons why this movie became such a phenomenal in there, because like people could see themselves on a screen. They like which is weird because this family has a fucking bronze Olympian, but she's still kind of a failure, right? And the levels of that where you fail at this, but you're good at this. You fail at this, but you're good. And they all each have. I also what I would like to point out the cutting of this, the editing of this, where something happens and we move swimmingly to another person, but it makes sense. The editing flows so well.
Mhm.
I'm like, damn, that's like next to none. Like this reminded me of like early Spielberg, like how Indiana Jones movies are edited, where it's some clever editing happening in those movies, and that reminded me of this. That's yeah. So like, yeah.
Yeah, from a technical standpoint, this is an impeccably made movie. The
Mm-hmm.
cinematography is amazing. The special effects,
Yeah.
the editing, how this is all put together, and how it all threads. There's so many isolated scenes that in lesser hands would not fit.
Mm-hmm.
But like it all comes together because at the end, this is about a systematic failure from top to bottom,
Yep.
from family to Korea to America, and just everybody, the media, everybody failed in
Mm-hmm.
this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's such a sobering feeling at the very end when you realize that, like, we all messed up. And at the end of the day, we couldn't accomplish what we wanted to do.
And then like
And then it was,
the very last scene, like how it's like, and it doesn't even matter. Like when they switch off that TV that tells us, "Hey, this is what was happening." Oh no, just switch it off. It's nothing good is on, and they just eat the dinner because it's all in the past. They will not affect their life because it's already happened. They've already
yeah,
dealt with that and processed that pain. So they don't give a they couldn't give a fuck, and they
yeah,
should.
this is an Infinity War where there's an end game to fix everything at the
Correct.
end. No, this just ended in failure. And
Yep.
that's the sobering reality of it all. But like
Mm-hmm.
this cast is amazing
Yep.
and from top to bottom. And there's just so many great performances here. And because like you'd see Ko Ah Sung, who is the daughter, pop up again as the daughter in Snowpiercer,
Yep.
with Song Kang Ho again. And then Bai Duna, who's the Olympian, she was also in Cloud Atlas. That's where I
And also
recognize her from.
barking dogs, and like she's the heroine in barking
Yeah,
dogs. Never mind. Yes.
yeah. Just and then Park Hye Il, I've definitely seen. Oh, he was in Memories of Murder, Decision to Leave. So like
Mm-hmm.
he's still working in really big Korean films today too.
Decision to
And
Leave. By the way, that's a movie also. No, not the Bong Joon Ho movie, but all, like
yeah,
Park Chan Wook, another master who fucking understands everything. And in
yep,
between those two, I always thought he would be the first one to get an Oscar if there was a Korean director,
yeah.
and it was Bong. I'm like, okay, but give somebody to my man Park. Just gonna say side tangent. Sorry.
I just well, that's the thing because like if you're not paying attention to Asian cinema,
Mm.
you're really missing out
Oh yeah.
because there's so much great film coming out of Korea, just specifically just Korea. And then, of course, you have like Hong Kong cinema and Chinese cinema
Mm-hmm.
and Japanese cinema.
Yep.
And it's just this really enforces that like Bong Joon Ho is something special. And I look forward to his next Korean language film because to be well, here's the side note. I'm a humongous fan of Snowpiercer. I
Mhm,
absolutely love that movie from start to finish. But in general, his Korean films seem to be a bit on another level
mhm.
compared to his English language
Yeah,
films.
yeah.
Because like I really, really, really liked Mickey 17. I have to
Me too.
rewatch Okja. I enjoyed Okja too. It's just
Mhm.
I don't know. I just feel like the ones that he's made in Korean, um, the Korean language and in Korea just hit. Like Memories of Murder is one of my favorite new watches the past like 5 years. It just blew me away. And honestly, the host was pretty high up there too. So
I need to rewatch Memories of Murder. I will just say two things, and then
mhm.
I'm done. So, firstly, I'm looking forward to his next horror project that should apparently be scored by John Carpenter himself. I don't know if you've seen
I did
the,
see that.
the video on like when he's like, "Oh, what? I'm actually serious." Like them talking to each other. Like John Carpenter was interviewing him,
Better
Bong Joon-ho,
happen.
and I
Like
was like, and he was like, but I'm serious. Like, I would be honored. Can you please compose a score for my next horror movie? And John Carpenter was like, oh, I would love to. Yeah, let's do it. And they shook hands. So I'm like, that better fucking happen. So that was,
nerds.
yeah, I'm like, no, I would fucking love that. And the second thing, I think we cannot end this on any other note that what he said when he was, accepting many awards for Parasite for general audiences, mostly Americans, really if you try to get past the 5-inch barrier of subtitles, you will get unlocked some amazing movies. I'm paraphrasing what he said, I think in Golden Globes, and they couldn't be any more true. If you get behind, oh yeah, I need to read the movie, I cannot watch it. No, you will fucking watch it, and you will be exposed to some amazing, amazing movies.
Absolutely. And I still need to watch Mother. And it
That's
looks like
also great.
Tokyo
But
is the
Tokyo, I
film.
think he's one of them, one
Oh,
of
I
like
see.
three
He
directors.
co-directed.
Yes.
It was an anthology, and that
Yeah.
is an interesting
Oh no, I want to watch that.
interesting collection of directors
Yes.
there. But those are our thoughts on this double dose of Bong Joon-ho. But Luke, thank you so much for always coming on and talking movies with me.
Always a blast, Shane.
And next week, I'm going to be having Jeff on to talk about a couple of hipstery movies, liberal arts, and very good girls. And then next month, Luke and I, instead of watching a couple of South Korean films, are going to be talking about a couple of Dutch films, The Vanishing and Turkish Delight. But thank you all for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. And what's your favorite Bong Joon Ho film? Follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPM Crew Podcasting Network is ever expanding. It's almost to the point where I can't keep up with it anymore. But there's a little bit for everybody here. So, and if you have an idea for a podcast and want to collaborate, or if you want to come onto a show, make sure to reach out and check out our website. And if you like our logo, check out High Flyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPM Crew Podcasting Network.